KOUJ 1071 FM, KOUJ.org. We are the Rock of Salvation Station. And live in studio with me tonight is As We Are. How's it going, guys?
Hi.
He says, so let's talk about the band. And he's like, wait, which one of y'all's the drummer? The guy with the mic.
Yeah.
I was going to say, the drummer's usually the one that's back cool, but he's the one with the mic. So we'll just hang out with him. Well, they said those guys are always the crazy ones. So give us the dirt on the band.
What do you say?
I said, give us the dirt on the band. The drummer knows everything.
Yeah,
So,
that's not true.
he said, they tell me nothing. We were just talking to another band earlier live, Collision Instant with the drummer, and they say you guys get left out all the time. So I wanted to bring you right to the front.
Yeah. Yeah, I know some stuff sometimes, but he knows everything. So
let's talk about As We Sin. Give us the background of the band and how long you've been together. Did I say As We Sin? As We Are. Yes. I'm not going to say I'm a fan of As We Sin.
Free shout out for you guys.
As We Are. So give us the background for As We Are.
Background.
He said we got some cabs, some drums.
I don't know exactly what you want. So just
The history of the band.
history of the band. 2014 we started touring hard, and we've been touring since.
All right. So name your favorite place to play.
Yeah, obviously Norman, Oklahoma.
the West Coast is very nice.
What do you like about touring over the West Coast?
Good scenery, nice beach. Check. Lots of food.
Lots of food. So let's talk about the band in general, and obviously, As We Are is the name of the band. So, what is As We Are?
Like what does the name mean,
Yes.
or what does it encompass?
Yes.
Just encompass as we are, exactly what it says, accepting people for who they are, not putting any expectations on them, just asking them to come. I tell people, like, for 40 minutes, you can come to an As We Are concert and be yourself. You don't have to put up any kind of fronts or anything. Just come be yourself for 40 minutes with us and be real, because we're real, and we want everybody to be real. We think there's way too much fake stuff going on in the world today, and we want some to be actually be real and tangible and familiar, and I think that's what we're trying to bring to the table.
Right. I like that because in so many times, especially in today with all the social media and everything, a lot of people try to put a highlight reel out all the time. It's like we want people, when you're talking about Christian bands or Christianity in general, man, it's that personal relationship. Too many people's afraid to be themselves because they'll be judged or whatever. And, I tell everybody all the time with myself, is like, man, if you want to be my friend, just be you. Don't be anything other than you, because God created you to be the best you could be. So I like that. I like that. As We Are. I'm going to actually do youth ministry. So I'm going to be saying that next week at church. I'll be like, be as we are. That's what you're called to do. So I like that. That's pretty cool. I like to hear backgrounds of stuff like that. So, you find out who they are. So influences, what would you say your music kind of, it put some influence on it?
Stuff. Yeah, I mean, all over the place. I like, I'll just list just some bands I like. I like bands like stuff that I'm listening to a lot right now. Post Malone is probably one of the top people I'm listening to right now. I'm just saying it's an influence of our music, but I'm sure at some point it's going to influence our music. But I also listen to like Under Oath, and I also listen to worship stuff. I also listen to a lot of one of my favorite pop punk bands right now to listen to is The Story So Far, and you're probably not going to hear a lot of like what you would consider Christian music coming through my sound system, because I don't spend a lot of time listening to that. I listen to what I like, and I'm not concerned, the content, I don't really care. I listen to what I like. And So I want to write music that people are going to enjoy listening to, not that it has to fit in a certain box. We're going to be original. We're going to write what we like. And if you like it, you do. If you don't, you don't. But we enjoy it. And I feel like if you're going to do something and be effective, you got to enjoy what you're doing.
Right.
And if you're just trying to do it to fit in somebody's bubble, it's not going to have the same impact on somebody that, you know, if it's something that's coming from inside of you and you're trying to project out.
Right. It's definitely got to be something that is who you are, not no pun intended, as we are, but it's definitely got to be you. You don't want to say I'm making music. I know a lot of times doing this for so many years now, I talk to bands when they get caught under label, they have to look a certain way. They got to sound a certain way. They'll go in and change their whole sound of music that they do, you know, because that's what the record label wants. I think it takes the integrity away from the band. Sometimes, you know, you talk to them, it's like, yeah, that's my song. Well, it was kind of my song, but then they went in and rewrote it for me. And, you know, it's like, but I'm glad you guys are saying it because you want to be who you are and not what somebody else wants you to be. What about you guys?
Oh, shoot. What am I listening to right now? A lot of the ongoing concept. A lot of that. They're a really good band. What's another good one? A lot of Counterparts. Just a lot of more melodic hardcore type stuff is what I enjoy listening to. Beings in Ocean, stuff like that. But Under Oath, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, that's what's on my playlist lately.
Yes, the ongoing concept. He turned me on to just a few days ago, and they were really good. I like a lot of folky stuff, a lot of acoustic stuff. I always have John Mayer and a guy named Drew Holcomb I'm really into, and have always been. So I don't know, a lot of folkier stuff. And like, I don't know, Silent Planet, got to throw that one out there. All of us are really into Silent Planet, so.
Right. So how did you guys all come together to form this band?
How did we come together to form this band? Wait. Yeah. How did we form this band? It's his band. He formed the band. This guy right here.
All right.
His band. And then so it was always him, the band, because that's his band.
He said he had the van, he had the equipment.
Yeah.
We just joined in on the ride.
Then in 2014.
He said that's absolutely true. Because I thought you said that's totally true. I was like, yeah, it's me.
Well, this lineup, yeah. So like 2014, it's like, hey, come to play drums. We known each other for a long time, so very long time. So it's like, hey, you know the songs, come out and play drums. And I was like, you don't have a choice, okay, I guess, you know. So 2014 playing drums, and then we met this guy this year. How were you part of the band, sir?
Facebook. We met on MySpace. Facebook. Stuff.
MySpace.
Oh yeah, I'm from Australia. That's
Really?
not true. It was a lie. I'm just kidding.
I was like, really, that's cool.
No, I reached out to them on Facebook because God put it on my heart, as we are, and reached out to them and got back with me the next morning. And I found out a week and a half before we went out on a 3-month tour that I was going with them, and never met him. Didn't even talk on the phone, just text message, and showed up in Indiana to play our first show together. First time I ever met him, and my family dropped me off with them, and I've been with them since January. Yes, I ate Caden's chili at Steak and Shake for the first time, and we were best friends since then. Best friends for life.
He said they dropped me off and we became best friends. It's a good thing. Your family
Yes.
drops you off, you don't become friends, the band never works. And you have to find your way back. So that's a good thing you guys got to like each other. So your music, No Turning Back is a song. Obviously, I just said that, but we're going to play a song here just a second. Give us a little info on the song.
No Turning Back. That was a song that we wrote in a garage about visualizing our first trip going to California, really, because one of the lines is from Mount Vernon out to LA, and so then then like the next summer we actually went to California. We thought we'd really made it. So, I mean, I guess that song was kind of perfect. Just kind of like a feel-good song, and it's talking about spending all your time on the road and home being where the heart is, and trying to get back to places that want you to come back to and stuff. So it's kind of what it's really talking about.
Cool. All right. Well, here we go. This is No Turning Back on KOUJ 107.1 FM, KOUJ.org.
Are we still on this thing?
It's actually the.
Oh, okay. We were waving at people that are here. So.
I love this song.
This is a great song, isn't it? Don't y'all like the song? Isn't it great?
Right.
Every line's are all I see. And every day we sing along to our favorite song.
Stop.
Baby in December, baby in July. We'll make it back to you and we're gonna try. But the road keeps on falling to the place where we belong. Home is where the heart is, and the heart is in this song. Put your hand in mine, together we share the sky. The many things we see.
I'm actually doing work here, radio work.
Turning all our dreams into reality. Only we believe. Baby in December, baby in July. We'll make it back to you.
We burned it.
But the road keeps on falling to the place where we belong. Home is where the heart is, and the heart is in this song. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the heart is.
You got another pictures.
Yes. So I know it's the label
Well, no, shit.
I'm gonna do it.
What, dog? Black and white KJ 107.1 FM, KJ.org. We are back. And so we was listening to your guys' music, you know, the new updated version.
Yep.
He's like, that's the old song. So it's like we had No Turning Back coming up here in just a minute. We played that and we're going to play Promised Land. But one of the things I like to talk to people about when I interview bands, I like to get to know the more meat of the band when it comes to spirituality and stuff. So I always ask the bands this: give me your Jesus moment, whether it be when you decided that you was going to do Christian rock music, or maybe it's the time you was on tour and somebody came up to you and you knew that this was your calling.
Which one?
You can do them both if you got them.
We have 5 hours.
Oh yeah.
You know, I always wait for this question because I think my idea of this question is so much different than what the interviewer is wanting or the listeners are wanting to hear.
Mm-hmm.
My idea of a Jesus moment, if you say, is every time I wake up.
Right.
because we as individuals, as people, are supposed to be a direct extension of God Himself. And I think every time you're existing and breathing, you should be a Jesus moment. I don't think it's a thing that you experience, like, whoa, back when I was 12, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So if you're asking for moments that have touched my life.
That made you decide that you was going to do Christian music.
See, and that's the thing. So whenever I was younger, I've been like in church since I was young, and I got a guitar like whenever I was, I don't know, some age, and I just started writing music, and I don't think I ever said like I'm going to write like Jesus music. I don't think I ever did that.
Right.
I've always just written what was in my heart, and I remember sitting in church. Whenever I was young, I wrote a song and I played it for this lady, and I remember her telling me that I needed to put Jesus in there somewhere because it wasn't Christian-y, because it didn't say Jesus. I remember her telling me that, and that's always stuck with me, and not in a good way. Like, it's always stuck with me as what you were writing was good, except for because you didn't say Jesus, it's not good enough, And so I guess my little perception of things is simply, I think at that point I realized I wanted to write what was in my heart versus writing a structured song that does send a certain message and is accepted by this genre. And so I don't think I ever really said, hey, I want to do this. I think I've always wrote from an objectional sphere, and people are able to take that and relate it. I relate it to the Bible, because you can have one person that reads the Bible and say, this is what it says, but then you can have somebody else that no, it says this, and you may think it says this day, but 3 weeks from now you might go through something and you read the same thing again, and you're like, whoa, it takes on a whole new meaning. Because I think words are written from somebody's perspective, but I also think that as you go through life and you go through certain things, that the interpretation of things take on different meanings as well. That's my perception. I'm not saying that's a right perception. It's what I've experienced. So for me to say I set out to be this Christian rock band would be a very, very wrong statement. I set out to write music that was in my heart, and my heart obviously is the heart of God. So whatever He has me write, whether it's a Christian song or whether it's not a Christian song, or even if it's a song that steps on people's toes and they're like, dude, I don't really get what you're doing here, that's okay. Because I don't necessarily want you to come alongside me and be like, I know this is what you mean, because maybe that's not really what I meant. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't think I ever really set out in that direction at all. I think it was more like, this is what's in my heart, I'm going to write it. And then I've had people come along and go, wow, you guys are a Christian band, aren't you? And I'm like, no, not really. I mean, we're all believers, and we believe in Jesus, and we believe in God, and we let Him have control of our lives. But I mean, as far as going out and saying, hey, we're a Christian band, no, because a lot of Christian bands wouldn't do the things that we do. We spend a lot of time in the clubs and in the bars. I'm going to tell you a secret right now. Last night we played a drag show. I don't know many Christian bands that would go play a drag show somewhere.
Right.
But let me tell you what happened at a drag show last night. Can I share that?
Yes.
You're talking about Jesus moments. I'm going to give you a Jesus moment. We were supposed to play a half show, and last week it canceled. And our promoter friend in Abilene, I hit him up. I'm like, dude, a show dropped. Have something we can play? He's like, I can let you play here, but we're doing a drag show that night. And I'm like, that's fine. And I'd never been to one in my life. I didn't know what we were getting into. And what was so cool is there was a ministry there called Lace Ministries, and they're a lot like As We Are. In fact, I went to talk to them afterwards, and they reach out to the adult entertainment industry, and they were there, and they go hang out at these shows, and they minister by intermingling with these people, and this whole show was a benefit for a ministry, which I thought was so cool, because they were saying from the stage, Jesus loves us, even though he probably shouldn't. He loves us. And they gave all the credit back to this ministry that comes and hangs out with them because they're not too good to be in the presence of them.
Right.
And that's exactly, people all the same, well, what would Jesus do? That's exactly what he would do. He would go where you're not willing to go.
Right.
And so that, if you really want a Jesus moment, that was a Jesus moment last night. And at the end of the night, I went up, the person that was putting it on, you know, two of the queens, man, I just gave them a big hug, you know, and they said, thank you. And I said, thank you, because you let us be a part of what you were doing here. And they supported us. They gave us extra money. They bought some shirts because they wanted to help us out. And they gave us above and beyond what the price of our shirts were, just because they loved what we did and they wanted to bless us.
Yeah.
And that's amazing.
I think it's super cool because a lot of times, you know, talking with bands all the time, I think Christian bands should be playing in the bars and stuff. Obviously, a lot of the music, you know, is for the body, for the church, you know, for us to listen to. But if we keep our music inside the church walls, how are we going to let the world hear it? And that's the thing with KOUJ 107 with them. I say this on a regular basis. If anybody's listening to my show, I say KOUJ 107 FM is, because when you say Christian radio station, Christian rock station, people's like, yeah, we've heard of Caleb. And that's like, no. We actually play real rock music. You know, we're the Christian. It's like Jesus talks about leaving the 99 to go after the one. Too many radio stations are afraid to play the Christian metal, the Christian punk, Christian hip hop or whatever, because it's not what the church is. It's not what supports the church and stuff. So, you know, if we're always chasing the 99 and leaving the one outside of the church doors, man, that's not Jesus. Jesus went after the one. He went after the one that was left. And we got to stop walking around with blinders on and start loving people and telling them about Jesus. And that's what Jesus says. God is love. So I'm glad that you guys are out there doing the ministry and not afraid to go in places that bands are afraid to go into, because that's how we're going to change the world around us.
I can't say we're not always not scared, because sometimes we're pretty scared.
yeah, I was definitely like, yeah.
I'll just throw that out there.
I just, you know, earlier today, because I do youth ministry, and my challenge to the kids today was when they go to school this week is we're going to look at people the way Jesus looks at them. Too many times we're so quick to look at somebody and judge them for the way they look, how they dress, or how they represent themselves, whether they be goth, hip hop, whatever. You know, we put labels on people. Jesus don't put labels on nobody. Jesus loves us for who we are. And so that's what we got to do. We'll never change the world unless we start looking at people and loving people like Jesus does. So I like that. And I think that more bands going to have to be bold and be able to say, you know what, send me in there because I want to tell somebody that Jesus loves them. If we're not willing to go in there and do it, who is? You know, the Satan's got the stronghold of the world. We got to be ready to fight. We got to be ready to battle. And that's where the Christian rock, the Christian metal is so strong, is because most people, they'll look at, you know, if you're wearing all black, if you're goth or whatever, you know, like instantly, if you walk into church, people look at you like, oh yeah, stay away from them. You know, that's scary. We don't need to know what they got going on, but instead we should be embracing. It was like, hey, you know, what's up? And you'll find out that I don't care if there's a person in a 3-piece suit or a person with piercings on their face, people are hurting out there. We got to start judging by the way they look and start looking for people's heart. And, you know, Jesus said, I come for the sick. And so I love it when I hear bands saying, you know what, I'm going to step in there and I'm going to do this. So thank you guys for being bold and for being strong, for being obedient. And that's the thing. It's about obedience. All right, let's talk about Promised Land. He gave it to the drummer. The drummer knows the song.
Talk about it.
Sure.
Well, Promised Land. Good song. It's a good song. It's a nice
I'm
song.
telling you, it's really good.
It's a song. He wrote it. I didn't write it. I just played drums on it.
This one's for Dale.
What is the song about? What is it? What is the song about, Mr. Vaughn? I'll hold the mic.
See how this works all the time. So
he goes, you know, we got to help out.
So we just did. I just did an interview a couple of weeks ago. I feel like I say the same answers over and again. So if you watched the interview before, I'm sorry if you heard this, but the whole album was written through a real kind of sketchy part of time where we've gone through some things, and some people had said we weren't going to do this and we weren't going to do that, and blah 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 blah, and so the whole album over there is really all about we're going to do it, basically, because you said we couldn't. Oh yeah, I forgot we're out albums. Never mind. The one that should be over there that we don't have right now.
The album that you can order online, by the way.
Or you can go to Spotify and listen to it. Please go stream it. But anyway, yeah, for sure. But you know, the whole album is all about, you know, we're gonna do it, you know, and the whole gist of this song was here we are doing what we said we were going to do, and you could have been a part of it, but you chose not to be, type situation. And here we are hanging out with all of our friends and having a good time, you know, and could have been part of it. You could have been part of this miracle that we're living right now, you know. And so there's a lot of that going on this album, and it's what ended up being a very angsty album ended up being a very happy and uplifting album, which is really weird. So, but yeah, that's kind of what the song's about.
Cool. All right. This is Promised Land, as we are on KOUJ
Hopefully the
107.1
right
FM,
one.
KOUJ.org.
That's kind of what the song's about.
Cool. All right. This is Promised Land, as we are on KOUJ 107.1
Hopefully the right
FM,
one.
KOUJ.org.
How does it feel to be on the other side of the fence? To be the one that's on the outside looking in. Again, these tables turn, crossing bridges that you burn. Sometimes I wonder if you're ever gonna learn. Moving on, keep moving on.
Wait a questions because we'll come up live in 1 minute, and then we can go and ask the questions. You got lights here. KOUJ 1071 FM, KJ.org. It is the Rock of Salvation Station, and we're hanging with As We Are. And we've been talking about, the music and stuff, and we are just moments away, about 20 minutes away from a concert here in Norman, Oklahoma. So if you're anywhere close to Norman, Oklahoma at Boyd Street at the KOUJ Studios, better known as Calvary Chapel, then step on by here because as you see, we got the gear set up. We're going to be rocking here in about 20 minutes. Going to, we got a little studio audience over here. You guys got any questions for the band?
Yeah, sure. We're from.
They want to. The question from the audience was where you guys are from.
Ooh. The band is based out of Southern Illinois, way south. So if you want to know how far away we are from Chicago, like yonder, like they're up
Yonder.
here, we're
That's some
down here.
Oklahoma talk right there.
They're like 4 or 5 hours south of Chicago, about an hour and a half east of St. Louis. But he's from Ohio,
I'm from
from the Columbus area, so that's where he's from. But the band's based out of So Ill.
So ill.
So Ill. S-O dot I.
That's dope, man. All right. About any other questions out there for the band?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I don't know if you guys can hear this out there because we don't have a mic over there, but one of the guys on the audience was talking about thank you for the courage and stuff. And again, it takes courage. It takes courage just to get up and go on the road. It's about that obedience because a lot of people's like, am I willing to take the risk to get up and go on the road to do this? And so again, yes, thank you guys for the obedience and stuff. And we thank you guys for coming to be a part of the KOUJ tonight.
Thanks you.
And glad that you're here and getting ready. Like I said, we are about 25 minutes away, if I'm looking at that clock right. I got lights in my eyes.
That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah, like we can just see like a shadow of a clock over there. So, but we're getting away at 8 o'clock. We're going to have a show up here. So we're going to be getting back to the music until the end set up for the show and everything. And again, thank you guys so much for being part of the show.
Thank you so
And
much.
You still got a few minutes to get on up here and be a part of this. Getting back to the music on KOUJ 1071, KOUJ.org. Part of this.